5 rounds before they've arrived at the quarterfinals, and it was a bit of a thrashing that they were dealt by the Central Queensland Bulls, 12-2. So a lot of room for improvement, but the important part is they've at least reached the quarterfinal stage. So anything can happen here. We throw it out the window, anything that has come before, and this one should be really well poised here. 20 minutes on the clock for this first half. 40-minute matches in total. James Preston and Des Fogarty with you for this quarterfinal between the Sydney Scorpions and the ACT Raiders. There is the hooter, and the Scorpions are off and running through Vera. She's had a very big tournament so far, been really good. Yeah, defensively in particular on the wing. And the Raiders girls getting up nice and quickly here and shutting down any momentum early on.
Yeah, really good start, eh?
Provides a hit to Lamusu. Last play now. Lamusu picks it up. Oh, works it nicely here for Smith. And she's evaded the defence as well. Chloe Smith couldn't get there in time. And Smith on Smith. But it is Rastalia who wins.
Yeah, sorry about that one, Raiders. I just probably put the mockers on you. But they really did start strongly with their shooting defence and took all the momentum out of the Scorps. They had to generate it from nothing. And just caught a little bit flat-footed there, Chloe Smith.
So the Painaway scoreboard after less than a minute now reads 1-0. I don't want to have another one conceded early here, the Raiders girls, and unfortunately that's been thrown directly into a defender who was standing stationary, so certainly not played at. Changeover to come here, and the Scorpions begin to work it away from their own end. Matthews in for a run and now hopping into acting half. Flat pass to Clark, all good hands there though from Gray. It's tough to take that one in. Up over halfway now. Nice quick roll ball as well. Matthews into the backfield. She has support looming. Oh, they've come right up through the guts. And Lily Clark makes it 2 out of 2 in terms of their voyages down this side of the field. They keep producing results.
Yeah, 2 out of 2. I was just double checking. That is referee Aziz from Tasmania. As I throw that one out there, but it's a beautiful set of just wheels, basically. She's just got the pace right through the middle.
So the Painaway scoreboard now reads 2-0. 2 minutes into it. They're keeping pace with the clock at the moment here, the Scorpions. It is a real step up for the ACT girls. Of course, finished third in Pool A, but that's nice, quick hands there. They hop into acting half through Scott. Now back to Scott, who waits in the middle. Looking for some sort of opening. Pressure coming from Medved. Scott once more wanting to promote the ball, but they jammed in well from the wing.
Yeah, and I was sitting here, I was writing that one because they did really well to move the ball all the way across to the left-hand side of the field. And I was just writing for them to bring it back to the other way because the space was out here. If they had anybody who could throw a left to right pass, they could have got over in the corner as we see an errant pass by the Scorps. And the Raiders will take over on halfway.
Yeah, good field position here for the ACT side. Still looking to work their way into this contest as they come deep within enemy territory now, up over that 40-metre mark. They'll play it right on the Red Rooster signage. Great to have their support once more here for another Touch Football Australia event. So they come from right to left. There is Quigley. That's one of the players that we've been told we need to keep an eye on. Here she is again. Turning it back on the inside for Small. Dropped off now, Quigley. Quigley with the long ball. Vera's out there. She had it all covered. Didn't need any support whatsoever from the link. She was all over it.
Lily Quigley got absolutely nailed after she offloaded the ball back inside and then was able to reset herself, put that ball up. Really, there was not too many chances there. The Scorps had that one covered as we see another error.
Yeah, Matthews leaving it behind on this occasion. So Canberra will play it here. The ACT Raiders up towards that 10-metre mark inside opposition territory. And they'll play it here through Chloe Smith, who was burned a little earlier by Rastalia Smith from the Scorpions. Weller. Now back to the middle. It's a really disjointed set so far. Eventually they get Newton in there at acting half. Here she is now with the touch. Last play here called by the officials. Oh, dummies left, right and centre, but jamming in there was Amelia Millie Hollis, and she did a good job to close things down.
Yeah, earlier in the set count, there was the Raiders had the ball in the middle of the field and just not getting the head up to have a look at what was happening. So if she'd held the ball and gone forward, she probably was in a better position for the team and put a team into a better position, but she's decided to offload the ball back in. to a player who was covered.
Clark now on the last. They weren't back on side. She decides to put the foot down. Gray coming back through the middle. However, they'll be pulled back here because there was a touch coming there on Clark, but also a few offside players. So referee played advantage. None forthcoming, so they get another set to work with here. The Sydney Scorpions. Gray twists it away here to Clark. Clark trying to squeeze away in through a few defenders. Caught there. 5 minutes gone. 2-0 on the Painaway scoreboard. The Scorpions in control and with good field position once more. Marchant off the right foot. Gray has Clark looping around. Clark wanted to link up with Vera. Good touch in from the Canberra link. The ACT girls doing very nicely. Straightening up here is Clark. Last play now. Clark still an option. The touch comes in. Yes, they've done well on that occasion there. Good scramble from the Raiders.
Yeah, good scramble. They're a little bit flat, though, on the line and stuck on the line, not coming back forward off it to take the space away from the attacking team. So I'd really like them to step forward off their line rather than standing there on the line waiting for the attackers to get to them. Good
pressure stepping up there from Gray, who shut things down nice and quickly. So they're just struggling to get any momentum whatsoever in these early sets here, the Raiders girls. This is a bit better, though. Up they come driving through the centre of the field. However, it's come very late in the count. Last play, in fact, so once more, good field position to begin with here for the Scorpions. But that's nice pressure jamming in there was Paige Gibson, and she's produced a result for the Raiders.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, solid touch, and not enough strength in the core of the body there by the Scorps player.
Small. And now Smith with a run. Quigley back out there, hovering around that middle position. Doesn't find her hands on this particular play, but now she hops into acting half. And off here to Newton. Newton caught just shy of that 7 metre mark. Last play now, Quigley looking for some sort of opening. Back to Newton. Here's Quigley keeping it alive. Nearly opened up a gap, but it was well read in the end there from Lily Clark, who just stepped up. She was hovering in the background for a moment there, but made a good call. So Gray shifts it on for Clark. Bit of space here for Vera. Vera picks up another 5 metres or so. Very flat pass as they get the fresh players onto the field. And up steps the Raiders' defence. That's much more aggressive.
Yeah, that was much better. And they moved up as one unit. That's what you were looking to see.
Hollis drops it back on the inside. Last play now, Hollis. Once more, that's much better from the ACT side. Multiple plays there where they actually stepped up and into the attacking line.
Yeah, and the more that you can do that, the more chance there is for the defenders who are your next players to shoot up, that they've actually got time to get themselves set because they don't have to go back as far.
So here is Simpson now, middle of the field, dropping it off. Scott delivers a pass there. Just at the death of war, still opening things up here. It is Gibson now on the last. Playing it here. Semple looking for some support. Semple can't find anyone because once more those middles from the Scorpions are working so hard and they just keep shutting down all the options for the Raiders. Medved pops it back on the inside and now into acting half before finding the support of Taudian. They head towards halfway. Quick drop off here. Matthews straightens things up. Picks up plenty of metres. Matthews puts the foot down. A great little roll ball too. They couldn't get there in time. So quick was it. Now here comes Lamusu. Nearly opened them up. Geez, that was touch and go for a moment. Good work in the end, though, from Megan Scott. Still not done with yet, though. Lamusu, a couple of dummies, but the pass doesn't find its mark. Pretty enterprising set there, though, from the Scorpions.
And Lamusu is probably going to be kicking herself because she had 3-on-1 out on the left-hand side of the field. She's done it a couple of times. A simple pass. Could have picked one of the two to get through.
Hindsight's a beautiful thing, Des Fogarty.
Of course it is. And our view up here and under no stress and,
That's a very good point. We can see all the gaps emerging in real time, but it's a very different perspective out there on the level of the field. As up over halfway come the Raiders. Quigley back to Smith, and now hopping in at acting half. Quigley searching for an opening. She's only a tiny little customer, but she's very crafty. Here she is once more. Quigley at the line. Smith got back in time. Gee, she's had a big game so far, Smith.
Yeah, she's been in everything. That's what you expect from your leaders, though.
So Rastalia plays it. Rastalia Smith. Nearly offered an intercept right at the line. Small was waiting for it. just couldn't get both mitts on it.
And Small was she timed her run perfectly. She was onside, came from a clearly onside position, came up into that space. I've seen a couple of those just not looking passes that have been picked off close to their own line so far this week, and that was nearly another one.
Well, here is Clark now up over halfway. Good pace on display too. Leaves it here for Hollis. Hollis has them backtracking. I think that's played out there from Quigley. Yes, another set to come. Probably a play she had to make though.
Yeah, definitely. If that pass gets out, it's a try time.
So they'll hold this up for just a moment, the Scorpions. No rush to restart things. This match has really flown along. There's only around about 9.5 minutes left, so directly in the middle of the first half, the Pain Away scoreboard still reads 2-0. It was a blitzkrieg of a start from the Scorpions, but we haven't seen much in the last 6 or 7 minutes. Here they come with Gray, jamming in nicely from the wing. That's a good read there from Elise Simpson. Back to the 7-metre mark they go. Out to Clark. Clark to Gray, and dropped off with the strike dump. Hollis tries to go at the line, but she can't get a clean snatch on it, and they stepped up and stopped her regardless.
Yeah, and the Raiders have done really well to steady the ship after that blistering start by the Scorpions. They've really worked their way into the game until that one. I was trying to avoid putting the mockers on them. Sorry about that one again. I was trying to leave my my comment on this one until after they got the ball back, and yeah, no, I'm done now. I'm out.
Well, just because it's a quarterfinal doesn't mean the commentator's curse goes away. And if anything, it amplifies, as we can see right there. So errors from both sides, and the changeover comes with less than 9 minutes remaining in the first half. 2-0 on the Pain Away scoreboard. Australia's #1 joint and muscle sprain topical pain relief cream. No one in there at acting half. Finally, they get some support in the position. And they had a chance to pick up some big meters there. They just didn't put the foot down.
Yeah,
so
just run.
Run, Forrest, run.
It's that simple. When you've got space in front of you, run into it.
He's also a very simple man, Forrest Gump. Now they'll drop it off here. Last play now for the ACT Raiders. Good little pop ball right at the line. But cover defence was pretty good coming across there. It was Amelia Torden.
Just opened up for her. She was just into a space. Nice little simple pass back on the inside. And then it just opened up into a 3-on-2. She ran. Forgot the next part, which is pass.
So 10 metres shy of the halfway line. 8 minutes on the clock here at Sunshine Coast Stadium for the DoorDash National Youth Championships 2022. Hope you're enjoying all the coverage. Live, free and exclusive here on KO Sports. Changeover comes. A good touch there. Prevented the run of McDougall. They head toward the subs box now, the Raiders. Weller wrapping around. And now she finds some support in the form of Simpson. Back in at acting half once more as Weller. Up comes the touch from McDougall. Once more, no one in an acting half. It's a couple of times they've been caught in that department in the last few minutes.
Communication, girls. Communication. You need to be talking to each other. Let each other know who's going to be in half and what you're about to do.
Last play now. Kite with ball in hand. Opens them up. Can she link up with a winger? Beautiful ball. Did she get it to ground? Yeah, she's certainly claiming it. They did indeed get enough on it. Ashley Weller has done very well there. And 2-1 on the Pain Away scoreboard. The Raiders hit back.
Yeah, she's a little dummy there, and so the saving middle has stayed out. And then that is a really nice finish for a ball that isn't necessarily in the ideal position for her. She's calling for it. She's got the arms up. Yeah, it's definitely down first before the touch. So great call there by referee Aziz. Last year's referee of the tournament here at the National Youth Champs.
It's a courageous dive too. She could have got quite winded from that one, but fortunately she's all right as Lamusu pops it back here for Smith. Now into acting half comes Lamusu. Smith with the big dummy picks up an extra 5 metres up to that 7-metre mark. Lamusu shifting here to Smith. Slowing things down and crabbing across field. Asking the defence to come up and meet her. Lamusu with numbers in support. Just picked the wrong option, you have to say. I think she wanted to find the winger, but potentially the link actually got in the way. Yeah,
the link's basically seen the ball in front and said, well, that must be mine. And it's just ricocheted off her. But I was looking at it in the lead up to it, and the link defensive on that side, as there's another turnover here, but the defensive link on that far side was high on the previous tag without really necessarily needing to be. And it meant that she had to do more work to get back to the line, and that's what opened up that opportunity.
So another opportunity here, though, for the Sydney Scorpions following that error. Out now to Smith. Smith also has numbers out on her wide right-hand side. Once more, I think they probably should have gone through their hands there.
I think they might have been covered that time. The Raiders had good body shape, they had good structural shape across through the centre, which they have again here.
A dummy from Lamusu, caught 15 away from the try line. Asking players to turn back underneath. Jazzy James in there at dummy half. Fires it off to Rastalia Smith. Oh, there's a pass over the top, but well read from the ACT Raiders. They are warming into this contest nicely.
They really have, and their defence has held solid since about the third or fourth minute of the game, and they haven't conceded one since. They just need to start getting a little bit more creative offensively. Once they get they're getting some run down the field, a little bit disjointed here, but they're getting the yards down the field, and as it opens up again with that extra pass, if they can be a little bit more creative in attack, I think they've got some real opportunity here to do some damage.
They still need to work on the flow from acting half because they are getting stifled a little bit as we saw towards the back end of that set there. But the expansive play is there. It's just a matter of keeping the momentum.
Yeah, once they get that momentum through and they can move the ball around and become a little bit more confident with it.
So the Scorpions now heading towards their substitution box. They want a smooth transition. It's not a bad one. Matthews now with ball in hand. Picks up some good meterage over halfway. Matthews puts the foot down. She's deceptively quick, and she might have picked up an injury here too. Once she puts the foot down, she can really scoot. Vera caught now on the last. Hollis wants to exploit a short side, popping the ball back on the inside. Think it was probably a touch pass anyway, and the referees are on the spot there. So change over to come here for the Raiders. About 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this first half, according to the Pain Away scoreboard. 2 tries to 1. Pressure coming in from Hollis. Ball left behind, and it's not a forceful touch. That's a changeover. It's also a coach killer as the hands go to the head of Des Fogarty.
I've been watching Matthews. When she did that run, and you can see her, she comes into half now. She is crippled. She's got that tape around the legs there, but she's really struggling, but she's stayed on the field. And it's the first thing that I would have been screaming at my team there is that I've just got to get down to the other end and then target that spot.
Yeah, she's really limping heavily there. And as you mentioned, that right leg is also quite heavily strapped. So Gray with the ball. She's not heading off, though, Matthews, which is quite interesting to see. Here she goes now. Matthews charging at them. Or doing her best attempt at charging. She can barely move, and surely she's got to come from the field. Yeah, staying out there.
I'm puzzled why her coaches are letting her stay out there, even with anything else that's happening in her own head.
Well, that's the thing. Players never want to leave the field themselves, no matter how injured they might be. So the touch comes in here from the Raiders, but someone has got to get the word out. Matthews is struggling.
Because if the Scorps don't score here, she's now stuck herself on the field, and she's going to be she's going to have to defend it.
Gray back on the inside. Hollis. Well, they won't have to test things defensively with Matthews. She'll get a chance to head off the side now. And 3 tries to 1 for the DoorDash National Youth Championships. It is the Sydney Scorpions in the ascendancy on the Pain Away scoreboard.
Yeah, and the Scorps teammates have let her off the hook there, and they've helped themselves out because that could very well have turned into a 2-all pretty easily down the other end of the field. But it was well worked, that little trail pass back on the inside. And the Raiders' defence not able to cover.
Just having a look at Matthews as well on the sideline. There is a physio there, but they're not attending to her, so she must think she's all right. Certainly doesn't seem to be the case. If she was a horse, I'd be very scared for her future moving forward. Touch
if she's
comes
a
in
horse,
here from
I'm not real convinced that she'd be able to hold the ball, mate.
They've got very strong teeth. Have you not seen them when they put the reins in the mouth? So from left to right they come. Medved. Wasn't Medved's doing. She was the previous pass, but that was a tough one then to reel in there for Taudian. So a changeover to come here with the Raiders in good field position, just over a minute on the clock in the first half. This is what they needed. Can they get something on the board, though, and just make it a bit more of a contest moving into the second stanza? 10 metres away, out to Smith. Smith drops it off on the 7-metre mark. Backpedaling defensive line. They got there in time, though, and the touch comes in from Lily Watt, I believe it is. Yes, it was.
And that's just a couple of touches just to might not have picked up in the background. They've run a sub and Lily Quigley's come onto the field as she's got the ball now. But that's clearly they've got to play her off.
Well, Quigley had a chance to just head straight towards the wing there, unmarked, hesitated just for a moment, and it allowed them to sweep across with the defensive link. So still pressure here, though, for the Scorpions. On the 7-metre mark, last play, Chloe Smith to the line. There's no option there. She flings it back towards the middle, but good defensive pressure there from Piper Marchant, who's been one of the players of the tournament in this 16s division.
Yeah, not creative enough, not direct enough on that set, with given the opportunity of a full set of 6 at the line.
So 5 seconds remaining in this first period. They head up towards the halfway line. This should be pretty much the last play here. Lamusu caught. Siren should beat them all. Yes, referee puts the whistle to the mouth, and that's pretty entertaining first half. One which threatened to get away from the Raiders, but they've done a great job to reel things back in. And at halftime here for the quarterfinals in the 16 girls division, it is 3-1 on the Painaway scoreboard. The Sydney Scorpions lead the Raiders. All the second half action in just a moment. 31 tries in 5 matches before this game, having conceded 23, but the big problem for them, I suppose, is just how resolute the defensive lineup for the Scorpions is. They conceded just 14 across 5 matches, so less than 3 a game.
Yeah, and that's a testament to obviously their own defensive strength, but it can also come down to what the opposition put at them in each game. And sometimes, if they started their games the same way they have this game, with a blistering start, other teams are then having to be a bit more desperate, a bit more loose with their ball usage, and that can cause more errors.
Well, they're going to have to go against the stats that have been emerging throughout this tournament so far. They'll need to score at least 4 tries in total if they are to beat the Scorpions and, of course, restrict their own try-scoring abilities. And based on those averages, it might be a bit of a tough one here for the Raiders, but they keep marching forward, and yes, just getting back onside in time was McDougall. For a moment there, she was caught in no man's land, but the Raiders, it's a little bit more enterprising stuff from them, but still very much through the middle, though. I still feel they probably need to hit those edges a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. See, they've tried to hit the edges a few times, but what they're doing is they're going out towards the link, letting the defensive link make the touch, and try to just basically run a link quickie, which is just a quick release, and try to beat that player one-on-one. We really sort of want to see them do a little bit more of what we're just seeing the Scorpions do, which is really try to run the ball hard out. I think so. With the players that they've got there, if they can get the acceleration away, I'd be looking just for some late switches to set themselves up for something a little bit more direct through the middle. Put the defensive line under pressure. That's really what you'd want to do.
So here are the Raiders through the middle now as Quigley fires it on. Finds some support, and Weller now taking the next run. Oh, geez, pass behind, but well reeled in by Simpson. Weller in a dummy half. And the dummy comes off there from Scott, who then heads towards the right-hand side of the field away from the stadium side. Gray making herself large and in charge through the middle. Here's a nice little run here, though, from Kite. And they keep promoting the ball. It's been touched in flight as well, so another set to play with here for the Raiders. That'll be music to their ears. Out to Scott. Touch comes in from Gray. Scott once more at first receiver. Continues it on here to Gibson. Drop down. It's all very slow at the moment, though, here. Kite back towards the middle. Touch comes up about 10 metres away. Now Kite finally decides to launch something at them. Clark is there, but the touch comes in anyway from Taudian.
It doesn't look like much, but that is actually probably the most enterprising that they've been so far in this game, and it was just a simple sweeper, and they've earned themselves a penalty, and if they can run something similar again, look at giving an offload, that might actually end up creating something. But again, it's about getting the defence to react, because you're doing something different to them. As we look for another link quickie.
Kite on the short side. The touch comes across, though, from Gray. So back towards that 7-metre mark. Still plays up their sleeves here, the Raiders. Fired on. Now Gibson. Straightening up. Last one now for the Raiders. Ball popped over the top. Kite. Oh, geez, there was half an opportunity if she could have got a quick release, but they still marked up quite nicely there. There was no overlap created.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out the way that I think the Raiders would like there. Just as far as what play they ended up running on the last touch.
So Scorps head towards their substitutions area. Transition trying to get enacted now, and it was all a bit static at the time, which means the Raiders can pop up and put some pressure on. However, they forgot to close the giant gap that was there. Smith ran all the way through it. Now Lamusu looks to take full advantage of it, and she's a bit upset with herself there. I think she'd worked the overlap but just couldn't find the pass.
Yeah, and it's a good scramble from the Raiders, but they had all the right players up from the line, but because the Scorps were just strolling with the ball, Raiders decided to stroll as well, and then suddenly the change of pace took advantage of a tiny little gap.
You can't clock off for even a moment when it comes to touch football. Things can change in an instant. Newton comes up over halfway. Oh, nice dummy in there as well. However, that was the last. So change over here as Lamusu plays it. Receives it back from Smith. And out now to Hollis. Hollis, delayed pass at the line. It was more than delayed. It was very, very late, and it caused all sorts of problems for her wing partner. And that'll be a changeover. So good field position here for the Raiders. The best of the match since the tap-off in this second half. Touch comes in here from Smith. And now Chloe Smith with a run herself. Gaps emerging. But they're just trundling along with the pace that the Raiders are setting, and probably needed to just change things up a little bit there, Des.
Yeah, and again, they're just drifting all the way out towards their link. They're happy for the defenders, the defensive link, to make the touches there. It's not something that I'm personally comfortable with, but I know that there are advantages to it. But yeah, they're comfortable to take what the Scorps are giving them. And when you think about how a defensive structure is set up, you can only really score if by taking advantage of what the defence gives you, or by forcing the defence to do something else.
Forward they march now through McDougall. Quick play the ball as well. Medved has them backpedaling. Oh, the pass was there for them. James tried to link up with her wing partner, but it's a good defensive play from the Raiders. Well read on the wing to shut it down, but it does mean another set to contend with here. 5.5 gone in the second half. Just the one try so far in the second stanza in favour of the Sydney Scorpions. 4 tries to 1. The Raiders need to be next to score, you fancy. More pressure here. Oh, popped over the top. That's beautiful stuff. And the hands are there. Ball grounded. Leela McDougall dives in. And all of a sudden, 5-1. This might be a little bit too far for them now, the Raiders.
And you can just see on the replay there, they've run a simple sweep play, and the Raiders defender who's made the touch has clocked off and is strolling back with strolling back to get onside with a back towards the play. Has no idea that the half has picked up and has gone past her, and caused all sorts of dramas for the rest of the defensive line. Now,
correction to the score, our scoreboard attendant previously put the 4 up there. I think that actually might only be 4 tries to 1 now. I don't think we've seen one since halftime up until that point. Cut-out pass comes here, looking for Weller. Weller is caught. Now away to Emily Kite. Kite shifts it on here through the hands of Scott. Now straightening Scott again, an option there. Oh, fires a short pass. Well watched in defence once more, though, from the Scorpions. Geez, they're so hard to breach.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue, is that the Scorps' defence is so strong, and that's why I was saying before that they need to be a little bit more creative in what they do in attack for the Raiders. But the Scorps' defence has really been very strong. Their ball handling needs a bit more work on it, obviously. But as they put the ball to the ground, and the Raiders are able to pick the ball up and have a go. We're looking to see some depth. I'm looking to see some ball movement, a little bit of agility and sidestepping going on there from, I think that's Sarah Small.
So now they head back towards the middle here with Scott. Scott drops it off. Kite trying to find an opening. Gray was on the line and then reached out to make the touch. 12.5 to play in the second half here. 4 tries to 1 on the Pain Away scoreboard. The Raiders with all the work to do. Kite comes forward, loping pass over the top. It's a nice ball too, and they get it to ground. They've just managed to beat the diving effort of Lily Watt. They're back in this one, the ACT side, 4-2 on the Pain Away scoreboard.
And they've finally done something different, and it's resulted in a try. They've thrown a left to right pass at pace, something that the defence aren't expecting, and they're able to score off it. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Just create something a little bit different. Give them some other opportunities. The stuff you've been doing is clearly not working.
Lamusu comes forward. Now Smith. So 2 of their big guns on deck at the moment here for the Sydney Scorpions. Smith once more. Fires it on here. Matthews, she seems to have recovered. We'll just keep a little eye on how that right leg is moving. Actually, it's still, there's a hobble there. So she might be back on the field, but she doesn't look 100% at all, Matthews. Looping around now. They decide not to use her. Smith holds it in two hands, but well read from Kira Hewen.
Sometimes that loping thing, when you get a joint strapped up, it can actually limit the movement. Like it provides the stability, but it limits the movement, and it might actually still be fine for her to actually run on. And I'm guessing that's what the assessment has.
Well, no, here she goes, straight to the sideline. Look, Des, as someone who's done their ACL 4 times, a couple of times when I came back, I decided to strap it up quite heavily, but you realise very quickly it's either good or it's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much tape you put on it. You can act like Josh Dugan or the Mummy and have Brendan Fraser chase you, but it might not work out anyway. Here comes Hollis. Hollis back towards the middle. Nice little pass there. Quigley was on the spot to shut things down. Medved fires it across from right to left, and they say go straight ahead. Last play now. Medved. Quigley gets up very quickly for that matter and makes the touch. Beautiful read there from Lily.
Yeah, both the wing and the link have come flying up out of the line, read that the play was coming out their way, and shut it down. There's no opportunity. The only way that they could have scored there was to have heard the footsteps and thrown the ball over the top of the winger.
Well, there's definitely been a few adjustments from this ATC side. They're playing a little bit more direct, and they're asking a few more questions, and certainly the defence is a touch more aggressive than it was in that first period as well, as Smith comes forward and fires a pass late at the line, something again we weren't really seeing too much of in the first half.
Yeah, but again, when they're turning the ball over in that centre third of the field, and there's not enough drive and not enough yards being made or metres being made up through the middle on their driving set. So again, the Scorps are now in good field position as they also earn a penalty, which looks to be from offside. But again, now the Scorpions have got good position, and now you're putting yourself under pressure again.
We're into the final 10 minutes here.
Oh.
And the call is overturned, so the Raiders will get used to the ball here. Pretty good field position for them, just 10 shy of the halfway line. Geez, that was very flat out of acting half as well, as was this one. Geez, they're really flirting with danger at the moment, the Raiders.
But they finally get some go forward. The reversal on the penalty, that's one of those ones that really hurts. Is when you give away a penalty for some form of verbal abuse when you've just earned the penalty. That's absurd.
The other thing that hurts as well is when you immediately then turn over possession just 2 plays later once you've finally gotten into the opposition half. So with 9 minutes on the Pain Away scoreboard remaining, 4 tries to 2, the Scorpions still in control here, but the Raiders are sticking it with them at the moment. Smith on the last. Lamusu now picks it up from acting half, floats the ball over the top. Way too much depth from the wing there. No way they could possibly link up. 8.5 on the clock now. The Raiders probably can't allow the Scorpions to score any further tries. It's been a tight contest so far. And they fire it out here to Weller. 10 shy of the halfway line she's caught. Smith to Weller. Flat ball. Up over halfway they come though. Good run here from Simpson. Good meters on offer. Weller shifts it here to Quigley. Quigley off the right foot. Now has support through the middle. Doesn't get the strike dump she probably would have liked. And there's really not much doing here for the Raiders. And ultimately that comes down to a poor play before the last there.
Yeah, and it just put them on the back foot, so there was nothing to do there. I just noticed as well that Elise Simpson's a bit proppy as well on that. Looks to be on her right leg.
It seems to be moving perhaps better backwards, actually. So maybe she just needs to turn around and start running like a reverse velociraptor or something. Forward through the middle they come as the touch is supplied there from Simpson.
I just got a weird visual of what that would look like.
It popped into my head exactly, and I feel I know what I'm talking about. Do you?
Not a clue.
Reverse velociraptor. I hope we can reach an agreement there, Elise Simpson, that is now your spirit animal. Up towards the try line they come now, 10 metres into opposition territory. Here is Smith, dropping it off now for Sarah Small. Smith out of acting half. Small picks up some good metres. This is a nice bit of flow now for the Raiders. Oh, here comes Smith. Oh, just touched at the death there. That was building nicely. A much better set there from the Raiders.
Much better. But again, well defended in the end by the Scorpions. Got to keep paying tribute to their defence. They've been compact all week, and they're just reinforcing that now.
You know what I realised, though? I couldn't say she's a kangaroo or an emu because they can't walk backwards. That's why I went with the velociraptor. It's very much upright. It's like a human stance Into enemy territory they come now. The Scorpions, short side raid, and the touch just comes in time, but I think it's forward anyway.
I can't believe that you're sticking with it.
I've got to explain myself, Des. Can't just hover it out there.
As if it was planned.
Yes, completely planned. It's on my book of notes here. Towards the sideline they come. Looking to get those fresh players onto the field. Tough pass to reel in. It's more than tough. It's a very difficult one there for Simpson. And I'll tell you what, maybe if she was a Velociraptor, she would have clawed that one up. 10 metres in.
She was facing the wrong way. It's a reverse Velociraptor.
Well, that's where it went wrong. I'm glad you're now on board with me. Thank you very much, Des Fogarty. Played 10 metres into enemy territory. Gray shifts it back towards the middle. Here is Gray again. Now they find a bit of a passage here through Taudian. Taudian plays it. Gray slowing things down. Comes here to Clark. Clark in an acting half for the follow-up play. Clark has split them again. She's been brilliant at this all tournament. Vera tries to get to ground, but I think they've done enough on the cover defensive play there. Referees conferring.
Great tag by Simpson. Elise Simpson out that side. She has made an absolutely perfectly timed dive.
Terrific tag, and ever since I've given her her new moniker, which I will no longer refer to, she's been on fire.
If there are any paleontologists watching, they'd like to dial in and just explain what it is that he's been talking about for us.
Where's Sam Neill when you need him? Ball fired over the top and up over that Red Rooster signage as well. 10 metres shy of that halfway line they caught. I can't believe how quickly this match has gone. 5 left in it as the Raiders head up towards halfway. They're still not done with yet. Quigley off the right foot, straightening. Now in at acting half. Gray is offside. That's where she runs at. Back towards the middle. Quigley, last play now. Not a bad strike, Dumb. They haven't retreated the required distance. That's a tough call. Yeah. I don't think she got back in time.
No, that was definitely offside there. Oh, well, referee's decision is the decision there, but she was clearly...
Well, Quigley picked it. She ran directly at it, noticing she hadn't retreated the required distance. Very unlucky there for the Raiders. That could have been a big moment for them. Vera out of acting half now. 4.5 on the clock. Back towards the middle here. Lamusu waited for it. However, we talk about the touch football gods and their karma. Maybe that's a little upside here for the Raiders.
Yeah, maybe, but here we go. They need to, with so little time left, and they've got to score 2 times to get us into extra time.
Geez, and that's not going to help them. You could see the idea was right. Weller was open on this left-hand flank, closest to the stadium side of the field, but just needed to put a bit more behind the pass.
Yeah, and it's partly it's a little bit of fatigue. Partly it's just the fact that it's desperation.
Here is Lamusu carving them up. A couple of left foot steps. She's dropped it at the death. That's one of the biggest bomb tries you'll ever see. Lamusu did all the hard work, and it takes you back to about 10 years ago in the under-20s for the NRL with Glenn Fisiahi pointing to the skies and then dropping it over the line. She slams the ground in frustration because that would have done it right there. That would have finished the match.
Yeah, absolutely would have locked the game away. I don't think it's actually going to make a difference to the result, but it was really good work. She ran great line, found the gap and accelerated through it as Simpson's caught down from behind and has to go back to the mark.
Geez, that would have been interesting. Had she gotten away, instead it's disaster for the Raiders. They've left it behind, and if it wasn't already done, it probably is now. Yeah, there is still time if they can work something, but it's just a matter of breaking down this Scorpions defence. It's tough to do.
Yeah, and what's happened, obviously, is that there's as the clock starts to wind down, the desperation factor comes in. You start to push passes. You start to think about what I have to do next instead of what I'm doing right now, and that's what's happened in that one. The head was already coming up, looking at where she was going to run and where she was going to pass the ball to. In the meantime, the ball was not quite into her hands.
Smith out here to Hollis. Hollis popped a pass, but straight into the hands of Weller. And by the way, with some of those comments you were making, you could very well be a therapist, Des Fogarty. We've got to live in the future, not in the past. We've got to live in the present, not in the future and not in the past. Here comes Weller. Clearly, I haven't had any. Probably need some. Out now to Smith, who does the dummy, picks up some extra metres. About 2 minutes left on the Painaway scoreboard. 4 tries to 2. Pass popped over the top here to Marchant. Vera's got some room to move. Well tracked again. Simpson's been huge for this Raiders side. Both sides of the ball for that matter. Quigley shoots out of the line, and they know it's now or never for the Raiders. They can't concede here, and they've got to score pretty much straight away from the next possession. Couple more plays left here for them. Clark goes to the line. Oh, and she's got there too, has she? Yes, Lily Clark has secured a place in the semi-finals for the Sydney Scorpions with less than 2 minutes on the clock. That will do it.
And it's only so many chances that you can give to a team. And realistically, for the Raiders, they've been so strong and solid through defensively. It's been their ball control and their attack that's really sort of not fired enough for them in this game, and that's where they've ended up. Why they've ended up on the wrong side of the score sheet.
Gallant effort nonetheless from the Raiders, though.
Absolutely.
Of course, they're an emerging, I know they're not technically a state, but one of the emerging affiliates within touch football in the country. So really good effort to get themselves into the quarterfinals, and I would say push the Scorpions here. They've had to work for this win, the Sydney side.
Absolutely.
Simpson off the right foot, and the touch comes across here from Taudian. So 7 metres out is where this play will restart here for the Scorpions. They straighten it up just a little bit here. Lily Clark driving forward. Oh, geez, a real mess in the play the ball there. Referees say play on. Scott came up to effect the touch. Lamusu. Very late pass. No one offside. They were just crabbing behind the play, though, picking up any loose scraps. With 30 seconds on the clock, this will be the last one here for the Scorpions. Lamusu drives forward. The touch comes in from Scott. There won't be much more action we'll see here. Maybe the Raiders will try and look for a consolation try. But they know their afternoon and their tournament is done. Scott caught there. Weller out now. 3 seconds on the clock. This will be the last play. Weller fires it off here for Semple. Semple has nowhere to go. The touch comes in from Marchant. And that ends it here. So the Sydney Scorpions live to fight another day. They are through to the semi-finals, but for the Raiders, a case of ultimately that poor start in the first few minutes. They just couldn't make up the ground in the end.
Yeah, and after that poor start, they really fought their way into the grind, but the last 2 possessions actually sums up their performance overall. Really good, solid defence, good shooting defence, able to force errors out of the Scorpions, but then 2 or 3 touches and they get no distance down the park, and they're